Commentary highlights of the Monte Carlo final tennis tournament. Lorenzo Musetti v Carlos Alcaraz. Lorenzo Musetti, first service game of the match, 30-15. Lorenzo Musetti was served to the centre of the box, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes forehand return to centre, and then Lorenzo Musetti with forehand to the right, and then Carlos Alcaraz strikes a backhand to the right. Then Lorenzo Musetti with forehand return to centre, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes a forehand to the right. Lorenzo Musetti forehand return, and Carlos Alcaraz a bit further forward strikes a backhand to the left. Lorenzo Musetti backhand slice return, but just hits the net. Break point, Carlos Alcaraz. Lorenzo Musetti wide serve, Carlos Alcaraz backhand return to the left, and then Lorenzo Musetti strikes a forehand to the left, and Lorenzo Musetti further forward, close net. But then Carlos Alcaraz strikes a forehand passing shot to the left, and it's a winner, and it's a breaker serve for Carlos Alcaraz after the first game of the match. Carlos Alcaraz service game. Carlos Alcaraz with a breaker serve in the first set. Carlos Alcaraz with a wide serve. Lorenzo Musetti forehand slice return to the left, and Carlos Alcaraz further forward strikes a forehand to the left, and it's a winner. 30-all. Carlos Alcaraz with a wide serve. Lorenzo Musetti forehand return, and Carlos Alcaraz to the net for a forehand drop volley to the right, short, and it's a winner. Carlos Alcaraz with a wide serve. Lorenzo Musetti with forehand return to left, and Carlos Alcaraz backhand to right, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes forehand to left. And Carlos Alcaraz backhand return to centre, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes a forehand to the right. And Carlos Alcaraz forehand returns left, and then a bit further forward, Lorenzo Musetti strikes a forehand to the left, and it's a winner. Break point, Lorenzo Musetti on this Carlos Alcaraz service game. Carlos Alcaraz with a wide serve, and then Lorenzo Musetti strikes a backhand return to left, and Carlos Alcaraz backhand strikes to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti backhand slice returns to the right, and Carlos Alcaraz forehand to the left, and Lorenzo Musetti forehand return to centre, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes forehand to the right, and it's a winner to save break point. Another break point for Lorenzo Musetti. Carlos Alcaraz with centre of the box serve, and Lorenzo Musetti forehand return to centre, and Carlos Alcaraz forehand drop shot to left, and Lorenzo Musetti onto it at the net before hand slice to the left, and Carlos Alcaraz backhand lob, then Lorenzo Musetti with backhand volley to the centre, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes a forehand to the right, but it's just out, and Lorenzo Musetti with breaker serve on return of serve, and it's on serve in the first set. So on serve in the first set, Lorenzo Musetti with serve centrally, Carlos Alcaraz backhand return to left, and Lorenzo Musetti shot to the left, and Carlos Alcaraz turns, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes forehand to the right, and Carlos Alcaraz with forehand return just hits the net. So Carlos Alcaraz service game, but love 30 on this Carlos Alcaraz service game. On serve in the first set. And Carlos Alcaraz for wide serve, and Lorenzo Musetti forehand return. And Carlos Alcaraz forehand drop shot to the right, and it's a winner. 30-40, break point for Lorenzo Musetti on this Carlos Alcaraz service game. And Carlos Alcaraz with wide serve, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes forehand return to left, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes forehand to right, and Lorenzo Musetti forehand returns left, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes a forehand to the left, but it's just out, and Lorenzo Musetti with a breaker serve up in the first set for Lorenzo Musetti. So Lorenzo Musetti breaker serve in the first set. 3-1 Lorenzo Musetti. Lorenzo Musetti service game. 40-15. Lorenzo Musetti with a wide serve, and Carlos Alcaraz forehand return. Lorenzo Musetti backhand slice to the right, and Carlos Alcaraz backhand return. Lorenzo Musetti strikes a backhand to the left, and then forehand, then Carlos Alcaraz strikes a backhand to the left, and then Lorenzo Musetti backhand slice return, but then Carlos Alcaraz with a forehand drop shot to the left, and it's a winner. Carlos Alcaraz service game. Carlos Alcaraz wide serve. Lorenzo Musetti strikes a backhand return, and it's a backhand return winner ace from Lorenzo Musetti off the one-handed backhand, returning Carlos Alcaraz's serve. Alcaraz with a wide serve and a bit of it, but Lorenzo Musetti with backhand return winner ace to the right. So 4-2 Lorenzo Musetti with a breaker serve in this first set. Lorenzo Musetti with serve centre. Carlos Alcaraz turns to centre with a shot to centre, and Lorenzo Musetti then strikes a forehand to left, and Carlos Alcaraz with a backhand return just after that, and then Lorenzo Musetti further forward strikes forehand to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti's net, and Carlos Alcaraz forehand return. Lorenzo Musetti with backhand volley to the left, and Carlos Alcaraz with backhand lob, and then an overhead smash to the left from Lorenzo Musetti, and Carlos Alcaraz with backhand return to the left, and Lorenzo Musetti then with a forehand to the right, and Carlos Alcaraz forehand return to the right. Then Lorenzo Musetti strikes a backhand to the left, and backhand return from Carlos Alcaraz, then backhand Lorenzo Musetti centre, and Carlos Alcaraz then with forehand to left, and Lorenzo Musetti forehand to left, and then Carlos Alcaraz a bit further forward strikes a backhand to the right, and it's a winner. Carlos Alcaraz service game. Carlos Alcaraz central serve, and Lorenzo Musetti backhand return. And then Carlos Alcaraz strikes one to the right, and it's a winner. Yep. Lorenzo Musetti service game. Break serve Lorenzo Musetti in the first set. Lorenzo Musetti central serve. Carlos Alcaraz backhand return to the right. Then a bit further forward, Lorenzo Musetti strikes forehand to the right. Then Lorenzo Musetti to the net, and Carlos Alcaraz with return. And Lorenzo Musetti with backhand volley to the left at the net, and it's a winner. Two set points for Lorenzo Musetti. Lorenzo Musetti with a wide serve. Carlos Alcaraz strikes a backhand return to the right, and then Lorenzo Musetti returns with a forehand drop shot to the right, and that's quite a drop shot. Carlos Alcaraz onto a backhand slice, but just sits in there. Quite a backhand, quite a forehand slice return. Rather, forehand drop shot return to the right, rather, from Lorenzo Musetti, and close enough to a winner with it. And it's game and first set, Lorenzo Musetti, 6-3. Carlos Alcaraz, first service game in the second set, 15 up. Carlos Alcaraz with a serve to centre of the box, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes one, returns to centre, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes one to left, and Lorenzo Musetti turns, and Carlos Alcaraz backhand to the right. But Lorenzo strikes a backhand to the right, and Carlos Alcaraz one returns to the left, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes one to the left, but just hits the net. Carlos Alcaraz with a serve, and Lorenzo Musetti returns, and Carlos Alcaraz forehand to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes a backhand to the left, and Carlos Alcaraz backhand returns to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes a backhand to the right, and Carlos Alcaraz with a forehand return, and then Lorenzo Musetti strikes a forehand to the right, and Carlos Alcaraz forehand return, just out. Lorenzo Musetti with a serve, and Carlos Alcaraz returning. Lorenzo Musetti backhand short slice to right, but then Carlos Alcaraz onto it with a drop shot to the right, and it's a winner. 30-all. Lorenzo Musetti central serve, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes a forehand return to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti forehand slice return. Then Carlos Alcaraz strikes a forehand angle shot to the right. Then Carlos Alcaraz net as Lorenzo Musetti returns, and close net. Carlos Alcaraz with a backhand drop volley to the left, and it's a winner. Break point, Carlos Alcaraz. Lorenzo Musetti with a central serve, and then Carlos Alcaraz strikes a forehand return to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti forehand return is just out. And Carlos Alcaraz will break a serve in the second set. Carlos Alcaraz with a wide serve, and then Lorenzo Musetti forehand return, and Carlos Alcaraz net with a backhand volley to the left, and Lorenzo Musetti with backhand lob return to centre, and it's in, and then Carlos Alcaraz forehand slice turn, Lorenzo Musetti further forward beforehand, drop shots to right, but then Carlos Alcaraz onto it, backhand slice, passing shot to the right, and it's a winner. Lorenzo Musetti with a central serve. Carlos Alcaraz strikes forehand return to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti backhand slice to the left. And Carlos Alcaraz strikes an angled forehand shot to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti backhand drop shot returns to the right, and Carlos Alcaraz onto it with forehand slice, and Carlos Alcaraz at net as Lorenzo Musetti returns, and a backhand volley to the left from Carlos Alcaraz just after that, and it's a winner. Lorenzo Musetti with central serve, and Carlos Alcaraz forehand block return, and Lorenzo Musetti with forehand drop shot to the left, and then Carlos Alcaraz onto it with a backhand short angle drop shots right, and Lorenzo Musetti onto it with backhand slice. Lorenzo Musetti at the net, and then Carlos Alcaraz with a angled passing shot to the left, struck from the forehand, and it's a winner. Lorenzo Musetti with central serve. Carlos Alcaraz backhand return centre. Lorenzo Musetti strikes forehand to the left, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes a backhand to the left, and then Carlos Alcaraz further forward, close net. Lorenzo Musetti strikes a forehand return, and Carlos Alcaraz with a volley to half volley forehand. Then Lorenzo Musetti further forward, strikes a backhand to the left, and then Lorenzo Musetti at net. But then Carlos Alcaraz strikes a backhand passing shot to the right, and it's a winner. Lorenzo Musetti with central serve. Carlos Alcaraz with a forehand return, forehand to forehand. Then Lorenzo Musetti strikes a backhand to the left, and then Carlos Alcaraz strikes a backhand return to the right, but then Lorenzo Musetti strikes a shot to the right after that. Then Carlos Alcaraz forehand return to the left. Then Lorenzo Musetti strikes a forehand to the right, but just out. And it's another break for Carlos Alcaraz in the second set. Carlos Alcaraz with a centre to wide serve, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes forehand return to the left, but then Carlos Alcaraz strikes a backhand to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti with backhand slice turn to the left. Then Carlos Alcaraz strikes a forehand to the left. And then Lorenzo Musetti strikes forehand to the right, but then Carlos Alcaraz returns, striking a forehand to the right, and it's a winner. Carlos Alcaraz with a wide serve, and Lorenzo Musetti forehand return, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes a backhand serve, and Lorenzo Musetti backhand slice return to the right, and then Carlos Alcaraz strikes forehand to the left, and Lorenzo Musetti backhand slice turn, and Carlos Alcaraz with a forehand slice shot to the right, and it's a winner. Set point, Carlos Alcaraz, central serve, and then Lorenzo Musetti forehand return centre, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes forehand to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti forehand return. Then Carlos Alcaraz strikes forehand to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti forehand return To the right, just out, game and second set, Carlos Alcaraz, 6-1, and the match is level at 1 set all. Lorenzo Musetti with a serve wide. Carlos Alcaraz backhand turn to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes backhand to the right, and Carlos Alcaraz forehand turn to left, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes forehand to left, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes a backhand to left just after that, and it's a winner. Break point, Carlos Alcaraz. At the start of the third and final set, Lorenzo Musetti with centre to wide serve, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes a backhand return to the right. Then Lorenzo Musetti with a backhand, and then forehand to forehand, and then Carlos Alcaraz forehand slice return to the left. Then Lorenzo Musetti strikes forehand to the right, then Carlos Alcaraz forehand to the left, and Lorenzo Musetti strikes forehand to the left, just out, and Carlos Alcaraz with a breaker serve at the start of the third and final set. Two break points, Carlos Alcaraz, and it's Lorenzo Musetti service game for maybe another break in the third and final set. Lorenzo Musetti with a serve, and then Lorenzo Musetti third four close to net after the serve, but then Carlos Alcaraz with forehand passing shot struck to the right, and it's a winner. Short angled and a winner. Carlos Alcaraz with a wide serve, and Lorenzo Musetti with a forehand return to the centre, and Carlos Alcaraz strikes one to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti backhand slice turn, but Carlos Alcaraz at the net with a forehand volley to the left, and it's a winner. Carlos Alcaraz with a wide serve. Lorenzo Musetti strikes a backhand return, but then Carlos Alcaraz with a forehand return to the left after that, and it's a winner. Lorenzo Musetti with a central serve, then Carlos Alcaraz backhand returns to right, and Lorenzo Musetti backhand slice to the left, then Carlos Alcaraz short or angled backhand strokes to the right, and Lorenzo Musetti backhand slice, but not that bit further, and it's another break for Carlos Alcaraz. Two match points, Carlos Alcaraz. Carlos Alcaraz a wide serve, Lorenzo Musetti forehand block return. Then Carlos Alcaraz strikes a forehand to the left. Game, set and match, Carlos Alcaraz by 2-1, 3-6, 6-1, 6-love. And Carlos Alcaraz wins the tournament in Monte Carlo.